Hey guys, so it's Anjali back on my channel. It's been a very long quiet week because of Diwali for me, because I didn't go home for Diwali. I was here in Mumbai doing my workouts and doing my work, so I thought I would get on YouTube and talk to you guys about some of the things that have been pending, which you asked me to talk about. Any other questions you guys have, do drop a note or drop a message and let me know either on YouTube or on Instagram what you'd like to know about modeling in India and the Bollywood industry, the fashion industry, etc. So hey guys, and let's start today's session or today's video, which has been pending for a long time. So I'm going to talk about the Miss Diva and the Miss Earth auditions and the process which you can use to get selected and what it's going to be like when you're inside of the audition. Many of you probably don't know that I auditioned for Miss Diva and Miss Earth last year. Now, I already did MTV Supermodel of the Year and, you know, made a name, got a lot of Instagram followers, kind of made my identity in the industry as a model. So, you know, I wasn't really into pageants anymore. You know, I tried for Miss India early in 2019, but it didn't go as I expected. And there were, you know, a lot of things I wasn't prepared for. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to get into pageants, but I kind of approached Miss India in the wrong attitude. You know, I was too competitive. I was too invested in winning. You know, I had all my apples in one basket, as they say, and it just didn't pan out. And, you know, I was so crushed at the time, and I was just, you know, a young 22-year-old girl who, you know, had all her dreams crushed like that. So you can't really blame me because I was completely new to the industry. But at the end of that year, after a lot of practice, you know, a lot of shows and shoots and a lot of, you know, networking in the industry, I got into Supermodel of the Year and I did really well there and performed super well. So that has been one of my best things that I've ever done in my career, and I can still point back to that and say that was my highlight for me. So after Supermodel of the Year, of course, 2020, we had a huge lockdown, and touch wood, all of us are fine. And, you know, in 2020, nothing really happened. That was a very hard time for work. But, you know, still I was working here and there in Bangalore and, you know, doing shoots as the lockdown permitted. So yeah, 2020 was a very difficult year. Then we had 2021, and at the beginning of 2021, I had a pretty major accident where I broke my knee. So then my fitness routine got like out of whack and I started putting on weight, and I was like, oh my God, are my dreams getting crushed? But you know what? If you've put your mind to something and you have a dream, you can maintain it. So with my knee injury, I was doing, you know, workouts from a chair. I was doing chair workouts. I was monitoring my diet. And still with a very painful injury, I maintained my model body. To some extent, I might have gained 5 or 6 kgs. There's a reason why I'm telling you this. So let's come to the Miss Diva audition. So Miss Diva auditions last year, I think, were in August, September, October kind of time. And, you know, one of my friends really wanted to go. So she told me, Anjali, also try, come with me, let's do the audition together. And I was like, you know, I don't really like pageants. I had a bad experience. But I was feeling confident, you know, I was feeling fit. I had just done a movie with Ajay and I was like, okay, let's try for Miss Diva. And I was super confident. I'd had enough time to heal from the Miss India experience, and I gave it a go. So I'm going to tell you guys what the audition process was like, what my introduction was, my beauty with a purpose, and also going into Miss Earth, what that was like as well. It's very short, very brief, but for those of you who are trying for these pageants, it might be helpful for you. All right, so I remember for the Miss Diva audition, I just made the ramp walk video here in my own house, like I did my ramp walk. And it got enormous views, enormous like fan following and excitement because of Supermodel of the Year. People were so excited, like, oh my God, Anjali is coming and Miss Diva. So I also got a lot of confidence. I was like, oh my gosh, people want to see me in pageants, you know, and I was very excited. So as you guys know, I came through Cocoberry, and Cocoberry was my mentor and my agency. So after I uploaded my ramp walk, I got in touch with Cocoberry and I said, hey, I want to be in Miss Diva. Can we start doing classes, you know, to kind of refine my pageant speaking and stuff, as I've not really been doing pageants for like 2 years. So I got in touch with Cocoberry and I started doing their revision classes. And I'll tell you guys some of the topics that are very, very important for Miss Diva. So for Miss Diva, it's something where, you know, you're representing the universe. You're representing a very strong woman who has a lot of things to say on a lot of topics. So when I was doing my revision for Miss Diva, I had to be in group classes where we had to, you know, make answers to very difficult political questions. So some of the questions were, what are your views on abortion? What are your views on, you know, sex change? What are your views on Black Lives Matter? What are your views of George Bush's war in Iran? You know, a lot of political stuff which you wouldn't be aware. We had to do that. What are your views on the farmers' protests? What are your views on vaccination? So those of you ladies watching who want to get into especially Miss Diva, just read your newspaper, the current events going on, and make sure that you know about everything, that you have an opinion. So you don't need to be, you know, a super big scholar. You just need to know the very basics and come up with an opinion. And of course, every pageant question has to end positive. So you can have a viewpoint, but you have to end it in a positive way. So it's been a long time. I wouldn't go through my answers for you guys, but yeah, your pageant questions have to be positive. You can research it and understand how to frame your questions. Now, if I was doing Miss Diva this year, some of the topics which I might have to talk about would definitely be the Ukraine war. It would be the new Prime Minister of the UK being Indian, you know, a lot of the trending stuff. It would also be about Masha Amani and, you know, the hijab crisis in Iran. It's Iran, I guess so. I have to check that. I guess it's Iran. So yeah, you have to know about all these things and give a very, very empowering, positive view on that, and that's going to help you to win. So yes, these are the things which you will have to be ready for if you're getting into Miss Diva. And of course, have a banging body, have a really, really fit body. So start fasting, start working out, fasting in a good way, you know, consult your nutritionist, start working out, because Miss Universe wants a properly slim bikini body. So we'll get back to that as well. So I was doing the Cocoberry training, and one of their, you know, owners told me, you know, Anjali, you speak so well. You can easily be a winner. You can get a crown. So I was like, wow, okay. I was really, really excited, you know. And there's one thing about me and pageants is that I have a German passport. I'm actually a German citizen who is half Indian. So if I were to compete in a pageant, I would only get like a runner-up place. So in starting, I was like, why should I do this? I'm only going to be a runner-up, and you know, it's not going to be a huge thing for me. I'll always come second place, and nobody likes coming second place. So that for me was already deterring. I was like, you know, anyway, let me try. It will be something I can add to my resume. But it wasn't like my dream or my hope or my whole life depended on it, which is honestly a good mindset. Because if you go into pageants, you know, like, oh my God, this is my hope and my dream and I need it, it will just hurt you a lot. So I went into the pageant very positive, not counting on it too much, but giving everything, like giving my best and my all. So you ladies also need to start like taking care of your social media, making it very glamorous, doing photo shoots, and, you know, doing as well things for the poor, doing social work, and, you know, beauty with a purpose. And, you know, you have to take care of your captions. You have to write stuff that means something. And Miss India organization watches your Instagram, and that's going to help you in your pageant. So I did not get selected, but I went through at least 5 to 7 rounds, and we did all the rounds online because of COVID. So I remember that there was this guy from Times, and he asked a question like, Anjali, what was the most difficult? No, sorry. There was this guy from Times, and he asked, Anjali, what was the most beautiful thing that happened in your life? And you know, one thing that I noticed also is that the Times group always asks, you know, why did you fail in Miss India and what could you have done better? So if you're somebody that's already known, who's tried for Miss India or Miss Diva a few times, be ready for that question and be ready with your answer. So my answer was something like, you know, sir, at that time I was just starting in pageants and I was very new and I didn't know how to be so outgoing. I didn't know how to treat my other competitors. So, you know, I was a little shy and I was too competitive, but I've learned since then to be very positive. I've been working a lot in the industry and I know, you know, to take everything with a smile, and I'm ready for this round of the pageant. So I said something like that, and you know, they liked it, and that's how you have to frame every question in a very positive way. So the question he asked me was, Anjali, what was one of the most beautiful things you experienced in your life? Now, life is literally so long. You've had a lot of beautiful things happen. So I was like, what is something that's really going to speak to them, speak to the judges? Because you just need to reach the judges and nothing else. So, you know, whatever country you're competing from, I was competing from India, but I was German. So you have to know the culture of your country. If there's any NRIs watching this video, you have to know the culture. So in India, we treat our parents like God. We love our parents. We do anything for our parents. So in 2 seconds, I knew I had to say something with my parents, because anyone listening will get very, very touched. You know, you have to know what emotional strings to pull, what political strings to pull, what things to say that will speak to someone and, you know, touch them. And it's all about influencing people. Pageant is all about influencing with your words. You have to be very, very smart with your words. So I told them, you know, sir, as you know, I did Miss India, and they love to hear you being humble about your past and about your failures. So I was like, you know, sir, as you know, I did Miss India and I did not win. But when the titles were being given out, I was standing in my place and I saw my mom in the audience. Even though I didn't win, her beautiful smile, it just made me feel so warm and so loved. And I think that was one of the most beautiful things in my life, was that my parents were there for me, even in my darkest times. And that guy was literally so touched. He was like, wow, Anjali, that was so sweet. So you need to know how to frame your sentences, how to be very positive and, you know, very good with your words. So that was there. Then I was still doing, you know, the Cocoberry training and, you know, refinement classes, which were happening every day, and we had homework as well. And that was tough because I'm also working, I have my modeling and my shoots. So just handling the pageant at the same time was actually really, really tough. So, you know, everyone has to have an introduction about yourself, not only about yourself, but about something you've gone through or something that's happened in your life or something interesting about you and why that makes you who you are today. And that's very, very important for your pageant process. So Anjali ma'am spoke to me and she said, Anjali, you need a good introduction. Now, you know, not everyone has had something huge happen in their life or, you know, has had something so touching and beautiful. Some of us are very, very normal, like me. I feel I'm a very, very normal person. Even though I've done a lot of fashion shows, I've done a TV show, you know, times people and Miss Universe don't want to hear about your work. They want to hear about your heart, let's say, or something that means a lot to you. So I was like, let me be unique. I don't want to say the same thing as everyone else, like, oh, my background is this, oh, my dream is that. So I thought, hey, you know, in 2021, I have suffered body shaming because of my knee injury, and I gained like 5-6 kilos. You know, even my friends were body shaming me, and I got a lot of fat shaming and a lot of comments on my Instagram, and it was very hurtful. So, you know, if you change and it's something you've never been before, you are going to go through a lot of hurt, especially when other people are pointing at you and just bringing it out every time. So I made my introduction about body shaming. So I was like, hi, my name is Anjali Shmuk. I'm 25. I'm from Bangalore, but I live in the beautiful city of Mumbai, and, you know, I work in the fashion industry. Then I said something like, you know, over the past year, I suffered a lot of body shaming, and it's been very difficult for me. But I learned to love myself through all of that, and now I understand how to love everybody, irrespective of how they look, because it's all about who we are inside. So I think I was the first person who spoke about body shaming in Miss Diva, and it's a very tough topic because all the girls are so skinny, and, you know, nobody wants to hear about body shaming. It's so funny because I find pageants very, not really fake, but I find them contradicting themselves a lot. You know, they speak about good and they speak about positivity. At the same time, their girls are just forced to be a certain way and they're put under so much pressure. So, you know, I thought that body shaming was something very revolutionary that nobody's spoken about, that would be very unique. But no, they wanted somebody super perfect in a bikini body, and my bad. So that was my introduction, and you know, one of the owners of Coco Berry told me, you know, this is really good, this is really unique, and Anjali, just use this. You know, body shaming is a big thing that nobody's talking about. At that time, body shaming was not even mentioned in pageants as far as I know, especially in the Indian world of pageants. Everyone is perfect and nobody mentioned struggling with their body. I guess Nehal Chodasama did have that story, but she came out as a very, very perfect person while I was still working on myself. So I remember I did like 3-4 rounds. They wanted a bikini ramp walk, which I did. And I remember I was fasting a lot. I was eating like nuts, drinking water, drinking milk, and eating like this much of food for like 3, 4, 5, 6 days before the bikini video, because you had to take a video of yourself in bikini. I was working out with a knee injury. I was doing a lot of hard work. But you know, they just want to see results. They don't really care about the work. Any girls who have done pageants will know this. So yeah, it came to the very, very last round. And I remember at that time, like 8 or 9 of us had to meet up with Natasha and the different people from Times. And you know, it became my turn. Of course, I was nervous. I always get nervous when I have to, you know, speak up and be the only one speaking in front of a lot of people, but I did a decent job. And you know, I had to do my ramp walk and I was smiling in my heels, etc. And I remember when I said the body shaming introduction, they didn't like it. I remember seeing some faces like this and you know, some disinterest, and I was like, hey, it's a really good topic, but you know, I didn't tell anyone that. And you know, I remember when I finished my ramp walk and Natasha said, okay, we've seen everything that we want to see. And I was like, bro, it's been 4 years and I'm still getting hurt by pageants, because even though it's so glamorous outside, the way they actually treat the girls on the inside is very hurtful, very judgmental, and you know, they really just don't care. So I was like, okay, let's drop this. So, you know, Miss Diva was never my dream, just my friend asked me to participate, so I did. So, you know, I came out with a lot of experience, a lot of positive feelings, because my social media audience, they really supported me. Then, you know, Anjali ma'am told me, yes, I am positive enough and well-spoken enough to win a title. So I knew that, hey, you know what, I'm worthy, and if nobody else picked me, that's totally fine, because I'm worthy and I'm just gonna be who I am. I don't have to win a crown, but at least I know that I didn't do anything wrong. So I finished Miss Diva, and that was my audition process. And it's kind of interesting that now they have faced a lot of body shaming issues, and Harnaz has really done such a beautiful job in showing that every single woman is unique, perfect, and worthy of respect. Every woman in any shape is worthy of a crown if she can represent. So they didn't select me because of body issues, yet now Harnaz has done an amazing job just revolutionizing the world of pageants and showing, hey, any girl, any normal girl can actually represent if she's, you know, that character that the public want to see. So I really loved her job, and I think that she brought body shaming to the front of pageants, and it was very, very important. Even if I wasn't the person to do it, somebody had to do it. So I'm so glad to Harnaz that, Harnaz, you did it. Anyway, okay, so back to Miss Earth now. So we finished Miss Diva, and I was like, now I wanted to do some pageant. So I was like, I'm feeling like doing something else. So I was like, let me try for Miss Earth. And you know, guys, nobody talks about the social media pressure. The second you say you're doing a pageant, Like you have hundreds of people on your back. Ma'am, are you going to do it? Ma'am, you can do this. Ma'am, you can do that. And it just you get a lot of pressure, and you're like, okay, now I have to perform. Everyone's watching me, you know. So that happened, and it was time for Miss Earth. And again, my attitude was positive. I was like, I have my modeling. I'm very, very happy with my modeling. And you know, let's see if I can add a pageant, but I'm not going to be so crushed or something if it doesn't happen. So I got into Miss Earth. I auditioned for it. I guess you have to send your pictures, and I sent something about myself and my hobbies, my passions, who I am, and I sent it to their organization. And then they announced something like their top 50 winners, and I was, you know, in the top 50 or top 45. I don't really remember. So from that point, you had to do a lot of work. You had a lot of interviews with the Miss Earth committee that were coming up. But first, you had to come up with a beauty with a purpose or a cause that you were gonna do for the earth. So as I said, I've been doing modeling for now something like 5 or 6 years. The last 3 or 4 years have been very, very good for me. Touch wood and thank God. So I knew that if I'm coming into Miss Earth, I have to maintain my profession, which is modeling. I have to do all my shoots, I have to do all my fashion shows. And you know, I kind of wanted to relate my Miss Earth cause to fashion, because then I can maintain both. It's very difficult to maintain a job and be a beauty queen, because literally a beauty queen work takes all your time. You have to go for functions, you have to go to schools, you have to go to colleges, you know, you have to do openings and be there at events, and it just takes a lot of time. So also, you know, I didn't want my Instagram to change way too much, because my Instagram is about modeling. I get work through that. So I didn't want to suddenly become, you know, Princess Diana and, you know, start talking about something else. So I was like, let me be as true and as real to myself as I can be. And that's the way I was in Supermodel of the Year as well. I was very real. I was myself. And that's why I love that show, because they let everyone just come as they are and show the world who you are. And you know, that's a platform which I really love, because I could show that I'm strong, I'm intelligent, you know, I like performing, I like being competitive, and they didn't shame us for being competitive or, you know, for having a loud personality. I would say that I do have a loud personality, which, you know, contradicts. I always ask why, and you know, sometimes that's not appreciated. So anyway, back to Miss Earth. So I thought that, hey, you know, if you're in Miss Earth, your purpose has to change. So in Miss Diva, it's all about, you know, what you can do for the world, how you're speaking out about current topics. But Miss Earth, now you have to care about the environment. You have to be a very, very environment-oriented person. Now, I love nature. I love going in nature. I was recently in Europe, and I spent the whole trip in nature. At the same time, I mean, it's very different from the world of fashion. So I was wondering, how can I relate nature to fashion? And I got a lot of texts from these pageant pages saying, you know, ma'am, you have to start planting trees. Ma'am, you have to start cleaning beaches. And I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, if I clean Juhu Beach, tomorrow somebody's gonna throw trash again. So how am I making a difference by cleaning a beach? Or hey, you know, this is Mumbai. You don't have you don't have permission to just plant trees anywhere. So I was literally like, what can I do that will make a difference, that will raise a voice, and that will be unique? Maybe my problem was that I tried being too unique, and you know, it just didn't fit in with the thing, which is fine. So I work in fashion, and you know, I know that in fashion and in the industry, there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of material waste. If you go to the H&M store, you will see hundreds on hundreds of clothes which are like for 100, 250, and they're just getting thrown. So I did a lot of research on this topic, and there's literally islands in the ocean of just clothes which people have thrown, they've worn 2 or 3 times and just thrown it, and it's really, really polluting the earth. It takes a long time to decompose. So I thought, hey, this is something no one's talking about. You know, the dyes from cloth are polluting the ocean. The clothes themselves are taking ages to decompose. They're hurting the sea animals, etc. So I was like, let me talk about being saving with our fashion and with our clothing and with our, you know, whatever we wear. And everyone who in their cupboard has extra clothes that they're throwing away, they can send them to me and I'm gonna resell them or, you know, give them away to people who will actually use them. And that way we will be stopping the pollution that is going on in the sea and in the earth. So I thought I can start with this, and I started a thrift page, and I was like, I can start with this and I can start telling other people to start donating their clothes. I can go to H&M and all these stores and tell them to donate their clothes as well, so that, you know, we stop wasting. I know that H&M recycles their stuff, but a lot of other places like Zara and etc., they don't recycle. There's a lot of waste. So I remember giving this idea, and on my Instagram it got a lot of likes for being unique. Some people were calling me fake. I mean, a lot of people will say whatever, it doesn't really matter. So on the time when I met the committee for Miss Earth, these are the questions that they asked me. So scrapping my beauty with a purpose for a second, I'll tell you the other questions. So they asked me stuff like, Anjali, since Miss India, how have you changed? I already gave that answer. So I said, sir, I was very competitive. I didn't know how to be sweet or polite to my, you know, competitors, and people took that as an attitude, but actually I was just shy. Then that sir spoke to me and he was like, well, Anjali, you did really, really well in Supermodel of the Year. So, you know, being mean in a competition is not your problem. So I was like, thank you, sir. You know, then they asked me different questions about myself, where I studied, blah, 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 you know, what I'm doing now. So I remember also speaking about my body shaming story and, you know, how I learned to love myself the way that I am, which I'm still doing. And that sir was like, then I told him, I was like, but sir, I'm working on my body because my work needs me to be a certain way. So that guy actually got upset. He was like, Anjali, you're contradicting yourself. You can't say that you love yourself the way you are and also say that you're trying to lose weight. I was like, sir, I do love myself the way that I am, but I'm working as a model and my job requires me to be a certain way. Therefore, I am working for my job. He didn't like the answer. He thought it was contradicting. It was not a beauty queen's way of talking. And I was like, hey, I'm living in a real world. I have to pay rent. I have to pay bills. Of course, if weight is a problem, I have to work on it. I can't just be like, oh, peace and love. I love everyone and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So it wasn't really going with me. Then they asked me about, you know, my beauty with a purpose, which is the most important thing I would say about Miss Earth. And, you know, I gave them my idea of the thrift store and about people, you know, donating their clothes and, you know, reselling it or giving it away to, you know, slums and people that need it. So we're using everything to the very last time. And I remember him saying, Anjali, what else are you going to do? And I was like, well, sir, I'll go to schools and colleges and I will tell them also to, you know, save their stuff. And he was like, what else are you going to do? And they literally expected me to go to the Prime Minister and make some major changes. I was like, I came to understand that I won't be able to maintain my passion, which is modeling in the fashion industry, and also maintain a pageant, which takes a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and, you know, you just have to be 100% into your pageant. So for you girls watching this, I would say if you're going for pageants, just focus on it 100%. Try to give just 1 year fully to your pageant, because if you're not 100% there or able to be committed 100%, it might not work out for you. Like for me, I have to pay rent, bills, etc., and it just wasn't working out. I think that Tejaswini Monogana did a really good job as Miss Earth because she was totally dedicated. She went to every function, she went to every college and school. I know she did a really great job, but I just realized that I won't be able to maintain that with the job and the profession that I have. So very nicely, I was like, thank you, sir, and that was it. And, you know, honestly, I'm very, very thankful with what I'm doing. Everything's working out great, and I'm focused more on acting and on fashion because that is my passion, and that's where I can just be myself and, you know, be unique, be whoever I am. And, you know, even with weight and body shaming, that's all a story that works in fashion and in film, in the real world. So yes, I loved my Miss Diva and my Miss Earth experiences because I learned a lot from the auditions, and whatever small tips I learned, I'm sharing with you guys and with you ladies because I think it will really help you. So if I can, you know, paraphrase everything into a small topic, I would say for Miss Diva, be extremely prepared. Have a bikini body. They want you to be skinny, they want you to be curvy with no extra weight. Just do all your research and know the topics what you're talking about. And I would say for Miss Earth, definitely have a topic like cleaning the beach or planting trees, which it looks big and it looks showy, and a lot of people can support that. And just be 100% committed to your pageant, to your beauty with a purpose, because if you're juggling 2 or 3 jobs, it's just not gonna work. And yeah, that's it. And always be positive, always be respectful, and don't contradict yourself like I did with body shaming and losing weight. They hated that, but I was like, it's my job, what can I say? So anyway, that was it. And one thing I would recommend to all of you guys is do the Cocoberry course. And nobody's asked me to say this. I'm saying that Cocoberry helped me 1000% in my pageant training. Without them, I wouldn't even have gotten selected or shortlisted or anything. So Cocoberry makes winners, and they made me into who I am, into talking, into understanding the world of pageants. They made so many winners, including Harnaz, Manasa, Suman. So yes, if you guys really are serious about your pageants, your crowns, go for Cocoberry, because they're going to refine your body, your walk, and your speaking. And your speaking is the most important thing, which will take you anywhere. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I love all of you, and thank you for hearing my opinions and my story. And keep watching my YouTube channel for more stuff on the world of modeling, pageants, and life in Mumbai, Bollywood's capital and the city of dreams. So thank you so much for watching. Follow my page, like, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for my next video. Bye. Thank you for watching.